what are the cracks have you found? What I mean by that is that in practice at the moment, during this period of time, either you are surviving or you're actually preparing. There's a fundamental difference between survival and preparation. If you think about a mentality of preparation, this is a really important aspect to really consider. Majority of people now in the world have really just accepted the situation. What you should have been doing as one of the processes you've been thinking about is the process of evaluating where you're at. This particular period of time should have given you this period of thinking of where it really should have highlighted like a torch to show you where all the cracks of your practice or within yourself are at. And those cracks are the ones that have stopped you from growing in the past and being a better version of yourself, or actually been obstacles that you just never seen. Because fundamentally is most people's thinking is that I just wish this was all over, and when I get back to normality, everything will be fine. The reality is this: if this period of time you didn't act or didn't do anything, what makes you think that after this is over, you're actually going to be any different than you were before or during this period of time? That's a really important question for you to ask, because typically we don't change unless you are willing to change or you make the effort to change. And so the question needs to be is that why are you waiting for something to happen before you actually act, rather than doing something now that you could have all the time and effort to do to make those changes? Because what happens is what you should be doing is evaluating the past. Before this virus hit, what were some of the things that were stopping you from being better and growing? Assuming you're here is because you want to grow. So the challenge you need to be looking at is, in this period of time, you should really start to see that there are 3 types of cracks. So there's small ones, there's medium ones, and large ones. And the decision you need to make here is to kind of going, do I just need to fill in that crack, just kind of patch it up? Or do I need to like fill in that whole bigger crack because it's much bigger? Or do I need to replace the whole foundation to kind of build a better practice? Those are 3 options: small, medium, large. And you need to start thinking about that, because the decisions you make from here on in, like starting today, should be thinking about that. Do I need to just patch? Do I just need to fill it? Or do I need to really replace the whole thing? Maybe it's about your vision. Maybe the vision that you wanted isn't exactly the same as how you thought it was going to look like. Maybe it's your systems. What system has been broken? Do you know, to be honest with you, what's actually happening right now is that within my clients, and I see across the board, the practices that are on a referral-based type of practice have not dropped at all. If anything, like maybe 5-10%. In fact, some of my clients actually have seen more growth in this period of time than actually seen less. But one of the reasons why is usually because of referral-based practice, because they never had to rely on new patients. They were already relying on referral-based practice. So their practice didn't change whatsoever. What I see on the outside world is the most struggling practices are right now is the reliance on new patients. If you had a system that relied on a ton of new patients from marketing or whatever, you usually suffer the most. The challenges you need to start to see is like, what are the systematic problems that are having? Because it's going to be different when things kind of go back to somewhat normal. And so you got to really start to look at systems. You got to start to look at also maybe your personnel. Is your personnel, like the people on your team, are they performing during this period of time as what you expected? Because this either brings the worst in people or the best in people. And what I've seen is that this requires all hands on deck. It requires all your staff, your CAs, and your associates to kind of step up to the plate. And what happens is that during these situations, when all hands are on deck and some players are showing up, the A players are going to show up. They're going to be willing to want to participate. They're going to be willing to do whatever it takes, even though they're not getting paid. Those are the people that you want on your team. The B's and C's and D players are like, no, I'm just going to collect unemployment, or I'm going to spend time with my family. Why should I work if I'm not getting paid for and compensated for? Those are your C's and D players. These are the cracks that you see. And for me, that's a massive crack that needs to be replaced, because that shows me like they don't have the drive now. What makes you think that I can motivate and inspire them when the time counts that they're going to be doing that when I ask them to? And so if they can't show up in these times of needs, then they're not a team player, and I don't need non-team players on my team. So you might start to look at that. So my question to you, if when things start to go back to normal, you can start to see the trends sort of moving in that direction, what's the difference maker that's going to help you get to where you need to go in 6 months to a year from now? And what are the cracks that you have found in your practice because of this incident, and what are you going to do about it? Because what you're going to do about it and how you're going to fill it, patch it up, or fix it, or replace it is important, and make decisions to be made now rather than later. The longer you wait to fix these things, the cracks don't go away. If anything, the cracks actually get bigger. So this is the perfect opportune time to make sure you start acting on fixing those cracks.